What's up, folks, and welcome to another episode of Movie Squad. I am one of your hosts, Chris, and here with me tonight is Donnie. We're just a duo, the dynamic duo tonight.
Oh.
Donnie, what's up, man?
Oh, not much, as long as I'm not Robin in the dynamic duo.
I mean, you know, we both know you are. So, listen, welcome to the Movie Squad podcast. We are a podcast about movies. If you're new here, welcome. For those of you who have stuck around, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus. So before we jump into what we're here to talk about, kind of give you a little bit of a update on where we are. So as we talked about on the last several episodes leading up to kind of the break, I was in the middle of moving, and that was terrible. I had lived in the same house for 16 years, so as you can know you accumulate a lot of stuff. Donnie has been there. Donnie just moved to Michigan last year, the end of last year.
I'm in my basement and I'm staring at all of my stuff still in boxes all in front of me. If I turn this camera around, you would see my life right now. So
very nice. So Donnie moved, and then it was my turn. So I moved, and I've done okay boxing. The thing is I don't have a lot. So like what you see in my office is legitimately like this is my shelf, and if it's not on the shelf, it's on my desk, which is where the camera and everything is, and that is it. I have a printer over here on the ground, and that's all. I don't even have a stand for the printer yet. So it's very echoey. If it sounds echoey tonight, I apologize. I'll try to throw some post processing on it so it doesn't sound terrible. But yes, I'm in a mostly hollow room. But you know, hey, the good thing is I'm in the air conditioning. The last few shows that we've done, I've done from my garage in summer in Texas, so it's been terrible.
I'm still in my basement, still wearing a hoodie in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, I know. We're all waiting, for you to play with your zipper there. So that's not a euphemism. That's
all right. There you
go. So we're missing Phil. So I wanted to kind of update you guys on what's going on. So Phil's just been super busy. So as soon as I got settled into the house and got ready to record, I reached out to Phil and Donnie. I'm like, all right, we wanted to talk about Black Widow. We went to the theater and saw Black Widow. Like, let's do it. And then Phil was like, I can't make it work. Phil had a mission trip, I think he was going on. He had family vacation lined up. Of course, then we all rolled back into kids going back to school. So needless to say, it has been a crazy summer and a crazy few months. I think the last show that we actually put up was early May, if I remember correctly. So it's been...
hasn't been that long.
I think so, man.
It's only like 6 weeks, man.
So anyway, that's still.
Can I say something though on the show that the last show we recorded, if I remember correctly, was Pale Rider. Pale Rider.
I don't talk about this. Yeah.
I would like to point out
for the record, you are right. Pale Rider was July 5th, so it isn't as long as I thought it was. Okay, about 6 weeks. So that's not too bad.
You're trying to avoid this. I'm gonna point this out.
We just have a lot to talk about.
Zip it. Pale Rider has become our most, is it viewed or listened to?
It's most viewed
YouTube episode ever, with over, Chris, what's that number?
It's 2.4K, I think, is where it's at right
over
now.
2,000 views. What in the world?
Listen,
can I pick movies or can I pick movies, man?
I have a question for the audience. What does it matter with you people? I mean, come on, Pale Rider. We've covered things like Back to the Future. We've covered Jaws. We've covered Thor Ragnarok.
People like obscure stuff,
oh my
man.
Gosh, Pale Rider.
They want to get their hands. Listen, any of you people out there that want to reach out to me about obscure movies, let me know. Contact me through the YouTube thing or whatever. Right. I will respond to you.
That's right. If you guys remember kind of a short-lived thing that we did, we're actually talking about reviving it a little bit. Me and Donnie did a little short stint on a show we called Movie Swap, which was impossible because I don't think there's a movie that Donnie's ever not seen, except for Power Rangers, believe it or not.
I've seen it now. So
you have, and you're welcome.
It's off the list.
And you're welcome. That actually is still live on our show, so that on our channel. So that's one you should watch because that's a lot of fun. Anyway, look, so I just want to tell you guys, thanks for sticking around. I know it has been 6 weeks, close to 7 by the time that you listen to this, but life just happens, and we do this for fun. We're not making money. We're not signing autographs out there, kissing babies. That's not really what we're doing. We just like to talk. We
will
movies.
Though.
We will sign babies and kiss autographs if that's what you want. Just let us know. But anyway, but we're back. Kind of. So with that being said, just to kind of set your expectations for what's going to happen on this episode, and then when we'll be kind of back full time. So this is going to be a shorter episode. We are going to talk about Black Widow. It's kind of came and went, and so we didn't want to spend like a whole long full episode on it since we just kind of missed the moment. But we did feel like we should at least talk about it because we all went to the theater and saw it, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes as well. But we are going to come back with a current movie. We have all agreed to go to the theater and see Shang-Chi, which comes out September 3rd, I believe.
And The Legend of the Ten Rings.
Yep, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is a reference to Mandarin from Iron Man, which will be really cool. So the plan is we're going to go to the theater and see that, and then record that a couple of days after the movie comes out, so that we can get our thoughts fresh, and then our first full episode back, we'll have Phil on as well, and we'll be talking about Shang-Chi, and that'll be in like mid-September, whatever that Monday is after Shang-Chi drops. So that's the plan right now, and then we'll be back to our regular schedule. So if you don't know, we do record every other week, so we drop it. We drop normally 2 episodes a month, and so that's kind of where we are. And so Phil will be back, and everybody will be back, and we'll be kind of back to our normal rhythm. And so that's where we are. That's what's going on. A lot of MCU stuff. We're going to talk about Black Widow in a minute. Like I just said, Shang-Chi's coming out, so that's going to be our first full movie back for this fall. So that will be exciting. And then, like just icing on the cake today, as we're recording, so it's August 24th. So as we're recording this episode, the brand new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. They call it a teaser trailer, but it's like a 3-minute trailer.
It's
like
very
a full
long.
Trailer. Yeah,
it is long.
It dropped, and holy cow, Spider-Man! So before we talk about Black Widow, since we're kind of in this MCU vein, I wanted to kind of jump in and talk about this. So Donnie had not seen it till right before we started recording, and so I made him watch it so that we could talk about it a little bit before we talk about Black Widow. If you follow the MCU, if you don't know what's going on, we really kind of kick off Phase 4 with Black Widow. I mean, that's like the first full movie. We've had the TV stuff, which obviously tie in. So I guess if we're considering that, it started really, I guess, with WandaVision, and then Loki, and the Loki had some hints of the multiverse in it. And then we have Black Widow came out, which we're going to talk about in a second.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, that's right. Captain America and Winter Soldier show, which was also really cool. Black Widow. Now you have Shang-Chi, then you have Eternals, and that's going to lead us into December, which is where Spider-Man comes out. And then we get to next year. I believe it's May. I don't have the dates in front of me, but early next year is when we're going to get Doctor Strange. Is it Multiverse of Madness? Multiverse of Madness?
Don't ask me, buddy.
Something like that. Whatever.
Here's my question: who's going to get top billing in No Way Home?
It'll be Tom Holland, but because Robert Downey Jr. didn't get top billing in Homecoming.
Okay.
He got second.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And so what I find interesting, and I don't know that I like it, to be honest with you. I feel like that they have Spider-Man has evolved into this sidekick character. So in Homecoming we have Iron Man, and Far From Home we have Nick Fury, who, spoilers, wasn't Nick Fury. But Nick Fury was basically a co-star for almost the entirety of the movie. And now we have Doctor Strange, which looks like he's going to be playing, babysitter. It almost looks like we have to have a babysitter for Tony Stark.
Yeah.
which is okay. I guess they're. Oh, sorry, not trying to say Peter Parker. Which I guess is okay because they're playing him kind of young and he is a kid. But man, I'm a Spider-Man fan. My favorite superhero, and so I kind of just I kind of want to see him just be. On
I like Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man is honestly like the most kind of unique of the superheroes. Like where he came from is kind of like this interesting. Like Superman is just some alien, Thor's an alien.
Yeah.
Hulk is like, oh, I took too many drugs.
Yeah. Spider-Man's a nerd.
But Spider-Man's like, oh, I got
to the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah. And he's got all these cool, powers that are a little unusual.
But he learned a hard lesson with Uncle Ben, and with great power comes great responsibility. And so he carries that weight and that responsibility of if you have power, you have to use them.
Carries that rice recipe. Yeah,
he does.
Definitely.
The Uncle Ben's rice. Okay, so let's talk about real quick about the trailer. What are your thoughts? You just watched it. So what do you think? I watched it a couple times now.
It looks great, man. I just watched it one time, and I don't know why, but I like Doctor Strange.
I love Doctor Strange
a lot, and I didn't think I would when the movie first came out.
Sure.
Doctor Strange. But I've enjoyed the character. I look forward to the next Doctor Strange movie. So
yeah, he's good. He's very snarky, but Benedict Cumberbatch is great. I mean, he nails. I think he nails the character. He's got enough arrogance,
great.
but also like you feel like he can back it up. Like he feels intelligent. He feels like he knows what he's talking about.
And the trailer plays with that too, like majorly. Like
yes,
even winks at the camera kind of thing. So it's like
So good.
Also, Alfred Molina is back.
Yes.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Because he was Doc Ock in
Spider-Man 2.
That was like
Sam Raimi.
04 or something. That was like 15, 17 years ago.
Maybe, yeah. 2000. That's like maybe 03 or 04. Yeah.
That's like 17 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Crazy. He actually looks better in this movie too.
I was going to say they must have like Nick Fury'd him or something.
So let's talk about this for a second because you didn't realize that he was going to be there. So that was kind of a surprise to you.
I had no idea.
So I follow this stuff a little bit more closely than you do. So I knew that Alfred Molina was coming back.
A little.
But not only him, we have confirmation that Tobey Maguire is going to be back as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield's going to be back as Spider-Man. We have confirmation that that Charlie Cox from the Netflix Daredevil is showing up to play Matt Murdock.
In this movie?
In this movie, yes.
So you think Willem Dafoe is going to be back as Green Goblin?
They rolled the pumpkin bomb out.
They had the laugh. Yeah.
And they rolled the pumpkin bomb out. I hope Dafoe is back. Now, they haven't confirmed that Willem is coming back. So you could do, he had the Power Ranger mask on, right? So you could do like just a CGI or just a person in a mask. And so Willem could even just phone in the lines and not even have to show up. But I hope we see him. And he was so good as Norman Osborn. He was just the best.
He's great. He's a great character.
So it would be cool to kind of see him come back. I don't know where they're going with this, though. And this is kind of, first off, on the drive to school this morning, this is what I watched it with the kids. This is what I told them. This will not happen. Okay. I'm going on record to say this will not happen. This is what I want to happen. I want for at least just one scene that the Spider-Man movies that Sony does takes themselves a little too seriously. So they won't do it. But what I want is I want them to Space Jam this thing for just one scene. I want Spider-Man to meet cartoon Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse. And I want Spider-Ham to be there. I want Spider-Ham to come out, have like one line from John Mulaney, just crack up, and then him like zoom back to the multiverse. They'll never do it, but I just think it will be so stinking funny.
They should not do
it. It would be so stinking funny.
So basically, the next Spider-Man is going to be Spider-Man Homeschooled. And then Spider-Man Home Alone Part 4.
Yeah, that's the Christmas spinoff that they're doing.
Every one of them is home.
So I do think that this is closing out this trilogy. I don't think we'll get any more homes. This is it. So the
Spider-Man Phone Home.
Yeah, the question is what happens from here. Because you could see it going either way. You could see them wrapping up with Tom Holland. What I have thought for a while is that I think that breaking into the multiverse, I think they are going to introduce a live action Miles Morales. And my hypothesis is that they will then spin Miles into the next Spider-Man trilogy. So it will no longer be Peter Parker. It will no longer be Tom Holland.
Will they ever have new stories, or are they just going to keep remaking the same characters? That's the question.
No, I mean, Miles is different enough, but the story's pretty true. It's fine. They'll be fine.
Okay.
I mean, look, it's always we're going to talk about this with Black Widow. It's all good guys beating up bad guys. I mean, the comics have been doing that for 80 years. Like that's just what they do, so that's all right. What I really would like to see though is I wouldn't mind a Miles Morales and having Miles Morales come in and take over as the Sony Spider-Man, only if that means Marvel can hire Tom Holland as the MCU's full-time Spider-Man and then make a Spider-Man. That would be fantastic, but whatever. Anyway, enough about Spider-Man. We're here to talk about Black Widow. So
Black Widow.
Let's talk about Black Widow a little bit, and then let's get out of here for right now. So, real quick, just if you don't have eyes or ears, Black Widow came out this year, the year of our Lord 2021. I do want to talk a little bit about the controversy around the release, just because I want to get your thoughts. I don't know how much you've read about that, but we'll talk about that in a second. So it came out. Crap, I don't even remember the date now. It came out in July something. July like 15th or something like that. But it was both a simultaneous theater release and Disney Plus Premiere Access. It came out and
but it was held up for over a year, right? I mean, it was supposed to come out last May.
It was crazy. So like it was supposed to come out, right around right after COVID kind of really hit in 2020, and things started shutting down. It was supposed to be, I think it was May was the original date, and they were like, nope, we're going to hold off. The theaters are all closed, so let's just give us some time. And then I think they were looking at November, and then I think it pushed back until like March, and then I think they put it back into May again, and they finally moved it into July, and they finally released it. So it's been a little bit of a roller coaster. So it came out, if you follow these things, you don't really need to know much about it, but just, like we tell everybody, spoiler warning, we're going to ruin this movie and probably other MCU movies as we're talking about it. And I'm going to start now by saying that, this is a prequel because Black Widow no longer exists. So
the time frame is before she dies.
Before she dies. That
is clear.
That is clear.
Okay.
That is clear.
I wanted to make sure
that time.
This is not the afterlife.
No. This is not the
afterlife.
This is not the afterlife version. No.
All right, hold on. Let me
make that note. Make that note.
Let me scratch that off. Okay, go ahead.
So, but I will say this is it does take place after Civil War and before which was Infinity War was the first one. Yeah. So it takes place in between those two. So it is after Civil War. Scarlett, that's not her name. Natasha. Yeah. Natasha is on the run. She's hiding out from the government, and that's kind of the story there. And basically it leads her back to her adopted parents. We find out some more stuff about her background. We finally find out what happens in Budapest, which I do want to talk about as well.
Spoiler alert, they're all Russians.
And then it leads her back to the Red Room where she was trained to be a Black Widow. So again, full circle of life, Hakuna Matata kind of thing. So that's it. Let's just kind of let's start at the theater. So one of the things that we agreed about is we said, you know what, let's do it. We're gonna pull the Band-Aid off. If you've watched the show for a while, I've jokingly said I'm never going to a theater again. And
you were the holdup on that.
I was
all in for theaters.
Yeah, and just so we're clear, I want to make sure people understand. It has nothing to do with COVID. It mostly has to do with teenagers, but yeah, so we're like, let's do it. So I took my
if you haven't been listening to the show, Chris hates people. So there's that also.
That is that as well. So it reminds me of that little meme that I sent you with Jack Nicholson's crazy hair. What did it say? It says, I go outside and
I vacuum the driveway. So
once in a while I go outside and I run the vacuum cleaner over the driveway just to ensure that the neighbors never talk to me. So that's pretty much how I live my life. So we went to the theater, and all my kids, I tried to get my wife to go. She was like, I don't think so. She's not an MCU or like a superhero kind of person. She's like, I think I'll pass. But I took the other four, so they all went, and yeah, we survived. It was fine.
Yeah,
they were
good.
teenagers. They were annoying, but it's all right. Donnie, you went to the theater as well. Phil went to the theater too. Look, I feel the worst for Phil because he doesn't get to be here. He actually braved the theater to talk about this movie and doesn't.
We went together, he and I, and there was hardly anybody there, so it was no big deal.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Plus, we don't live in Dallas,
so give me first impressions. Walking out of the theater. See, this is the thing that I miss about you guys is that, which I did this. I did this with the kids as well, but they're children, so it's a little bit different. But you don't get that after movie pizza or coffee or just like let's decompress what we just watched, and like that's the kind of stuff I love to do when I go with grown people. But so tell me, like initial thoughts walking out. What do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So it was entertaining. I mean, I don't know any of the connections. This is not surprising to anybody. I don't know any of the comic connections of anything. You may hit on some of that. I don't know. But like, I don't know who's who and this character or whatever. I don't know if any of these people are even in the comics. It was entertaining. I mean, I have some hangups with the whole women kicking men's butts thing, but I've made that, I've mentioned that before. It's comics and it's movies. It's fine, whatever. But I mean, it entertained me. My family went with me as well, and they seemed to enjoy it. It was, I don't want to say it was forgettable. I just watched it again. But I don't know, man. It just, I don't know if it's just me being kind of past the Marvel, being enamored with it. Maybe we've run that course. Or if the movie itself wasn't quite on that par, I don't know. I've only really felt that way about maybe 2 or 3 of the movies that Marvel's put out. Kind of like, It was shot in a different style for sure.
Yes,
it was grainier and a little, it wasn't as vivid, and I don't know. It was fine.
Not as cinematic. I would agree with that. Good word. It seems a little more Born Identity. I kind of felt a little bit.
Yeah, after watching it today, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's a good comparison.
I didn't think it was forgettable until I started preparing notes a few days ago for the show, and I was like, "Oh, dog, I gotta watch it again." And I watched it again. I was like, "Man, it is kind of forgettable." And so you bring that up, and it actually is. And I don't know why, because I really liked it, and so I spent some time just kind of trying to process like, why do I like it? Because I think it's pretty weak. And so I have a few
Scarlett Johansson is terrible. I mean, besides that,
she's great. I love Scarlett.
She looks like she is smiling all the time. No matter what's happening.
Listen, Scarlett, I know you're.
Someone just died.
I know, Scarlett. I know you're listening to the show.
Look at the frown.
I love you, Scarlett. Okay, you're great.
You know who was great? You know who was great in this movie?
New baby. Who?
I'm going to tell you who was great in this movie, in my opinion. Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh was amazing, and
she is the best part about this movie. She's great
when she does the whole bending down and like, why you do this?
Oh, the poser pose.
So
I read that she was doing that in real life, and that's why they put it in the movie, because she was making fun of whatever her name is.
She was great.
She's great, dude.
Okay, so let me crap. So you're jumping ahead of me. So, but let me say this. No. So let's talk about the tag at the end. Since you brought up Florence Pugh, let's talk about. So Yelena is her name. She is actually a Black Widow in the comics. It wasn't always Natasha. There was another blonde Black Widow, Yelena. So we get the end credit scenes where she is approached by Val, played by the amazing Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and says basically, do you want to get the person who's responsible for killing your sister? And gives her a picture of Clint, right? And so she's recruiting her. We can talk about what that is later. We don't have to do that right now. I think it may be the Thunderbolts, but it doesn't matter. But this is what I told my 15-year-old daughter Kira whenever we left. I'm like, Black Widow had one job. From my perspective, my opinion, it had one job. It had to make us care more about Yelena than Natasha, and I think they nailed it.
Yeah,
like because from Black Widow's not going away. Black Widow has been in the Marvel comics for decades. She's a standard Avengers member. They have to have good female characters in today's environment. So Black Widow's not going away. So what they had to do is they had to replace her. How do you do that? Right. And so so here's, and I mentioned this a long time ago whenever we started talking about Marvel movies, but here's what you're getting, right? You're getting Anthony Mackie has been confirmed to be Captain America in Captain America #4. Right.
Okay.
And so you're starting to see this kind of turning of the guard. We're going to see this with Riri Williams. They already cast a person who's going to play a character called Ironheart, which is a female version of Iron Man. She's an African American. I think she's a teenager in the comics. I don't know if she's going to be a teenager in the thing, but they've already confirmed that her casting in Black Panther 2. So she's going to show up in Black Panther 2 as the next, technically, Iron Man. It's Ironheart. So what you're doing is you're seeing this next generation of characters. And so the only job that Black Widow really has is to make you as a viewer walk away and be like, oh man, I miss Natasha, but holy crap, Yelena is amazing. And I think they nailed it. She was funny. She kept the Russian accent the entire time, which I thought was fantastic. It was really good. She just I think she nailed it. I think she's likable.
She's way more likable than
I agree
Natasha.
Sorry, Scarlett.
No, I think that's a good point. This movie really is just basically passing the baton. That's really this whole movie.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Makes sense now.
Yeah. Now,
she's very likable. I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else. If I have, I didn't know, but she's great, man. So then
circling back to what we were talking about, it being forgettable, as I'm making my list, this is what I come back to. I'm like, the thing that I remember about the movie is just Yelena. Like every great her vest. You like this vest?
Oh,
it's got pockets for every and she's just so good.
It holds so much stuff you won't even know.
She's just so good, man.
She's so taken by that. This is the first article of clothing I've ever bought on my own.
That's right. So I think overall the movie was forgettable. The plot doesn't really matter. I do think we'll see Taskmaster back in some capacity, but I think the rest of
the daughter.
Well,
is that the robot-y thing?
I think we'll see the technology back. I don't think we'll see the daughter again. So they allude to several times that it's technology that was implanted into her that allows her to learn and mimic everybody's moves. So in the comic books, Taskmaster isn't a robot. Taskmaster is a guy. He's a person. And his superpower, if you will, is he can watch something like a fighting style one time and be able to mimic and repeat it. So like if he watched a Bruce Lee movie, he now knows all of Bruce Lee's moves. He's basically Neo learning kung fu in the Matrix.
Right.
Like that's what
this movie features that quite a bit as well.
Yes. So but again, in this movie they play it less about just a guy who has like an innate ability to do that, and they play it as technology. So it's something that can be implanted to anybody. So I think we'll see more of the Taskmaster stuff. That's fine.
Okay. Got it.
But other than that, I think everything else is a pretty much a wash. I don't think we'll see Red Guardian again. Possibly.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question about Red Guardian? So that's her adoptive dad. Just listen. Basically,
he was great. David Harbour as Red Guardian was also fantastic.
Sure, he's fine. He's fine. But here's my question. I have two questions. Number one's not a question. This movie totally emasculates him, basically.
Sure.
At the end, what does he do? He does nothing.
Oh, he does nothing.
He plays no role.
Oh no.
In any of this.
Yeah.
Like what is his power? what is his power supposed to be? Is he a super soldier?
Yeah, he's Captain America.
But he gets his butt handed to him by the Taskmaster. I mean, so he doesn't really do anything. The wife comes in and saved his bacon at the end. Yeah. I mean, he literally, think about it. He did nothing in this movie. He's the Indiana Jones of this movie. Everything that was going to happen would have happened anyway without him.
Yes, but
he's just there for comic relief.
It would have been less funny, though.
Okay, comic relief. Okay, we agree on that. Okay. So, also, why did he stay in prison if he's a super soldier? Why didn't he just break out of prison on his own?
Well, to be fair, like, he's not invincible. Like, if you take Steve Rogers and you put a gun to his head and pull the trigger, he's going to die.
But what if you put him in a prison? He can break out. But if you put him in a prison, he would break out.
Yeah, but if it's a maximum security prison with everybody having guns, like waiting to snipe you as you left, sure.
Okay.
Why didn't he? But he also was like old and overweight. I mean,
true.
He got to let him go.
Oh, dude. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when they hit him with that tranq dart and he's like, oh, they think that's going to be enough. And then like, how many? 20 tranq darts in the chest. And he just like goes down. Yeah. Also on that note, real quick, did the avalanche scenes seem weird to you? Like, did they basically just wiped all those people out?
Yeah, they're dead. I mean,
they wiped out all the prisoners, all the guards, everyone. They're all. There's no chance any of those people live. So I thought that was kind of MCU-ish, kind of.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, they try to avoid like.
I mean, I know they've killed innocent people before, but it was a big deal when they did it. Remember?
Yeah.
That was kind of the whole plot of one of the movies was, you killed a bunch of people. And anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. I will say, so go back to the Red Guardian, which is so funny. I do think this is one of the funnier of the movies. It to me, it had a very like Iron Man vibe to it, as far as like the one-liners and
the snark.
The snark to it. But it had the action of the Captain America movie. So one of the things that I really like is that I am a fan of the Captain America umbrella of MCU, if you will. So like all three of the Cap movies are great. Falcon Winter Soldier, great. And I kind of put this in that same umbrella where they're like street level. They're not really super powery people. At least like the hero, right? Like, I mean, she's a baddie, but she's not like Iron Man's flying around shooting nuclear bombs at people, and like Captain America's throwing a garbage can lid at them. So it's a little different stakes. But I like that. I like more of the fighting style, which I
it was definitely more down to earth kind of stuff. What was I gonna say?
You didn't say it.
I don't either now that I started to say it, I don't remember what it was.
That was my
bad. I was gonna say, I thought it was funny that Yelena makes a comment about the big ones, talking about the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
She's something about the big ones, and Black Widow is like, who are the big ones? Like, I thought that was a nice play on the fact that she's kind of been a side character.
Yeah.
But I know what I was gonna say. I think it's interesting that in her going away film, that Black Widow doesn't just have some localized situation. She literally saves the whole planet.
Oh, the whole planet. Yeah, of course.
It's like just you have to. They go
two girls.
They go all.
Or actually three.
The whole planet.
Yeah,
so
the whole planet.
It's not like a country. Even it's like we saved the entire planet. So, okay.
Yeah.
Even the Avengers struggled with that one, it's like, but you guys, you nailed it in one fell swoop. So anyway.
Yeah. No, I do get a little of the girl power thing.
Sure. I understand what they're doing.
But again, I think this is the problem. I think overall with Marvel movies is that you have to eventually escalate, or it doesn't feel. I would be fine if she would have just taken down the Red Room, and the Red Room was just a couple of hundred, slave,
right? Exactly,
girls that were not slave girls, but girls that were being under control in Russia.
They were training,
yeah, like almost like a Schindler's List kind of vibe, right? She's going in, she's saving as many as she can, get out. It's like this
apt comparison.
Thank you, exactly. So she,
I'm sure the Jews are appreciative of that.
Oh, great.
Carry on.
Please don't be offended. Any of our Jewish
no
listeners.
offense ever.
No. I just mean like I would have been fine with a story like that.
A little more localized.
But I feel like Marvel has an uphill battle where they're trying to open, which this will lead into our next topic because it's kind of what I want to wrap on. But Marvel has now bred this idea that they have to open these multi-$100 million blockbuster movies, and you can't do that if at the end she has like 4 people on a raft that she saved, right? It has to be big in order to warrant, not for me, but I think for the majority of the public audiences, you have to. Which leads me to, let's talk a little bit about the controversy. Do you understand? Have you followed any of the controversy between Scarlett Johansson and Disney?
Yeah, she sued because they were supposed to just have a theatrical only release, right?
Yes.
Or they paid her.
Well,
she lost money. Her argument is she lost money because they released it in both formats at the same time.
Yes. So so if you're not following this is what happened. Originally in Scarlett Johansson's contract, which was clearly way before COVID hit, because it was supposed to be out in 2020, so they would have shot it probably in 2018, early 2019. It was all going to be a theatrical release. Obviously, it's a big MCU movie, and then she would get royalties or a percentage of theater sales. And most actors probably have something similar to this, so it's not that's pretty common. The difference is, switching into COVID, everything has shifted to the streaming model, and so you have things like HBO Max. And they're just putting their movies out day and date on theater. And I mean, I just watched Suicide Squad a couple weeks ago, which was terrible, but I watched it the same day that it was out of the theater.
Yeah,
just part of my subscription. That's great. Disney, though, they went around a little bit differently. They have what's called Premier Access, where you pay, I think, like $20 or $30 on top of your. So it's $30, $29.99 on top of your regular service, but you can stream it to the platform day and date. And so they did this with Mulan. They did this with something else. I don't know. It doesn't matter. They did it with something else, but
Jungle Cruise.
That's right. And then of course they did it with Black Widow. So then Scarlett Johansson's suit is basically, I would have made more money had it released in the theater, which was what my agreement said. But because they split the audience and let them have it at home,
right.
I deserve more money. Now, we're not legal people, and we don't really care too much about that. I wanted to set that up to ask, or to maybe not ask, but to talk about this one point, and that Scarlett Johansson's never coming back. Like, we can agree, right? Like, this is a nail in the coffin. Like, yeah. I even thought maybe as I'm watching the movie before all this happened, I'm like, you could see a world in which they do a second Black Widow movie. I mean, spoilers, nobody dies at the end of that. So Yelena's still alive. Even Red Guardian and Mother Black Widow, whatever her name is.
Mother Pig Herder, I
actually think she's supposed to be Iron Maiden from the comics, but I didn't read too much about that. I don't know a lot about the Black Widow mythos. Was never a huge Black Widow fan, but all these people kind of play a part. They're all alive, is what I'm saying. So I walked out of the movie and I'm like, why couldn't we do another Black Widow movie? I thought Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh were amazing, like, together. I thought they were funny. That was my favorite parts when they were at the table eating together.
They were drinking shots of vodka.
Yeah,
they were like, they didn't want to be there, so they were like taking shots.
I just thought it was great. Like, I thought my favorite parts of this movie were the family dynamic between the two sisters and the family when they got together. I thought it was really funny. I thought there were a lot of like parallels to like real family drama, and they're not a real family, which is what kind of makes it funny. It turns it on its head a little bit. But man, with this thing, like, Scarlett Johansson is like, she's done. You don't go after Disney if you're hoping to have another movie, is what I'm saying.
Right.
You know, you don't be like, hey, remember, we're talking about Black Widow 2. Oh, let me just sue them real quick. I mean, this is it. We're never seeing Scarlett Johansson back again.
Agreed. So, hey, why did they fight when they met each other at the beginning? Yelena and Natasha. So why did they fight in the apartment?
That's a good question. My gut tells me, I think they kind of allude to it, but they don't tell you. But I think they're just both widows. They're both trained assassins.
Right.
And so at this point, Yelena is still a Black Widow, or she was even at the beginning of the movie. And Scarlett Johansson, or Tasha, is an Avenger. She's a good guy. And so, maybe it's just,
just defensiveness.
It's just like
on your alert all the time.
They're on both sides of the coin. One is a good guy, one is a bad guy. One's an assassin.
It just kind of felt like
one's trying to save the world. I agree with you. It felt very forced.
It felt a little forced. Like, we got to show the equality of these two as fighters.
Yes. But again, it's like, this goes back to my point, Donnie. This entire movie exists to show you that Yelena is the Black Widow.
I got you. No, I got it.
But I agree.
I just feel like they could have just talked and been like, hey, I sent you a message and you showed up, and okay, cool.
Dude,
let's not kill each other.
It reminded me of the very first, or maybe not the very first, but one of the first fights. And it's not the first, because it's the bank's the first, but like the apartment fight in Bourne Identity, in the first Bourne movie, when he goes back to the girl's apartment and he fights that guy with a pin.
That's a great fight.
It even felt like the same apartment, dude. Like that's what
did kind of feel that way.
Yeah, it felt like the same apartment. So, but it was still a great fight. I agree. It was stupid.
It was fun. It was fun.
It was a good fight. It was a lot of fun. I think that's the takeaway, right? I think the movie was a lot of fun. I laughed a lot, and I thought there were some good fight scenes. Completely forgettable, as long as you realize the only thing you were supposed to leave with is Yelena's hilarious and amazing, and she's the new Black Widow. And so Disney wins. That's what Disney wanted you to
Disney
think.
Always wins.
Disney does.
Disney been winning forever.
Okay, so let's wrap up. Any final thoughts from you? Anything that
couple things from the movie. Things from the movie itself. How come in movies where somebody gets they get a tracker chip put in them, they always know where the tracker chip is in their body? Always.
Exactly.
If it's in their neck or their thigh or their whatever, they always know. Like, they're always able to cut it out. And it seems like, when you put that chip in, you wouldn't tell them, like, this is where we put it. Because she goes right to the thigh immediately. Like, oh,
she knows
I'm
exactly
not a
where it
widow.
is. Right here.
Cuts it right out.
It's right out. Dude, I'm watching Titans we've talked about this, right? No joke. The last night I watched the episode where Dick Grayson finds out that Batman put a tracker on him, and no lie, he does this. He pulls out his phone and he goes zzz, and it's right there, and he pops it out. Exactly where he put his phone was where the chip is. So yeah,
nice.
They always know.
I have one more thing I wanted to say, and that is, okay, when they where'd she come from? One of the Black Widows. Mm-hmm. When the Black Widows are chasing them right after the apartment fight, one of them falls and lands on the ground and is dying, has a broken leg, which is pretty graphic and disgusting.
Yeah.
And so they go down there, or Black Widow, Natasha is by her side. Dreykov is back in control center, and he's making her kill herself, the hurt girl. So she puts the zapper to her head, and she says, I don't want to do this. Like, he's making something like that. Like, what'd she say? She says, he's making me do this.
Yeah.
So I don't understand that. Why would she say that? Because she's still under the control. Like, none of the girls anywhere in any of the other fights ever said anything like, we don't want to be fighting you, but we're still fighting you anyway. So it's like, it just didn't make any sense. Like, all of a sudden she's like, oh, I don't want to do this.
It's almost like she snapped out of it, but she still
shot herself in the head.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So she didn't really snap out of it. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought that was a little logic error there.
Yeah, it would make more sense if it was like a Suicide Squad thing where they had like a bomb in their head. And so maybe she snaps out of it long enough to say, he's making me do this, and then he explodes her head. But yeah, you're right. I mean, her actions are still doing what he says, but her mind's not, which doesn't mesh.
Just thought I'd point that out. That's it.
Two things for me. Number one, Budapest was a big letdown because they've hinted at this. Budapest. they hinted at this back in another great. It's so funny. I love when she asks about her accent. Like, what happened to your accent? I love it. I really do think it's very funny. It's forgettable, but
there's some good lines.
Every time I've watched it twice now, and I laugh. The vest is my favorite. The vest and the pose are absolutely my favorite moment.
Oh, the pose is the best part of the movie.
Well, except for the fun,
because
like funny wise. So
because Yelena ends up doing it at one point.
I know that,
and then she stands up, she goes, ugh. Yes. She's like, oh god. She's like,
so good. Okay,
it's pretty good.
So the whole event, it was the first Avengers where you get the mention of Budapest with Clint and Natasha, and they make a reference of like, oh yeah, just like Budapest or whatever. And so when was Avengers?
2012.
12? Okay. So now we are nearly 10 years later, and the payoff of it is like a few throwaway lines. Or like, we came to get Dreykov, closed down the Red Room, we were pinned in this room. The end. It just felt like such a letdown. I wanted to see it. Like, when they announced a Black Widow movie, this is what I said. I'm like, this is the movie I want to see. I want to see her and Clint do whatever they were doing in Budapest. That's what I want to see. That would have been the movie
okay.
that I would have been. They just spent all this time talking about this one moment like it was this giant moment, and they just throw away. It's like, oh yeah, we were here and we were boarded up for 2 days. And
I mean, I'm kind of glad Hawkeye wasn't in it.
Shut your mouth, man. I hate you.
He's a clown.
I hate you. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to say, my absolute favorite part of this movie. Hang on.
What's happening?
I have a chair problem.
What is happening right now?
I have a chair problem. My stupid chair.
Are you shrinking?
Yeah, my stupid chair. I got a minor chair, dude. I don't know if it like broke in the move or something, but now just randomly while I'm on calls at work, I just be like, where'd you go, Chris?
Oh my gosh.
It sucks. So what I was going to say is there's a throwback to this. So if you remember, going back again to Avengers, whenever they capture Loki in the helicarrier, and about midway through the movie, and Black Widow goes to interrogate him, and he talks about Red being in her ledger, and she's like, that's what she's trying to get out of her ledger. And he mentions Dreykov's daughter. What about Dreykov's daughter?
Oh, really?
And so for them to come back now 9 years later and pay that off in this movie, I thought was fantastic.
Dude.
Because you see her face. When he says it, she's like, you don't bring that up. Like, it's just so cool.
So there's a meme of Charlie from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where he's like got the red string.
Yes.
And he's got all the pictures and he's like trying to explain everything. Is it Feige?
Kevin Feige, yeah.
Like that guy really has that somewhere in his basement. Man. Like that guy has every line of every movie like connected somehow, some way. It's unreal. Like it really is.
I know.
Because George Lucas should have taken those kind of notes. You know what I mean?
Yes,
for Star Wars.
Absolutely.
It would have been a whole different experience, but whatever.
But think about it. Think about making the movie in 2012. You've had a big hit with Iron Man. You've had follow-up hits that were very big. Cap, Thor, Iron Man 2. Then you roll into what at that point was probably the biggest kind of overarching movie maybe of all time at that point.
Oh, for sure.
And you bring all these in and you're like, how do I service the story that's here and make it work? And then in the middle of this movie, you have Loki dropping this line about Dreykov's daughter, which at this point in 2012, we don't know who the crap Dreykov is.
We have no clue, yeah.
We have no idea where Black Widow comes from. At this point, you can't even imagine that Marvel's even thinking about a Black Widow movie. Maybe thinking about it, but definitely not planning it, right? And then 9
it's unreal,
years later,
dude.
They're making a movie. They're like, we're going to pay off. The villain of the film is Dreykov's daughter. I mean,
it's crazy.
It's crazy. So cool.
You wonder how many people are in that inner circle, because it can't just be one guy, can it? I mean, like, he's got to have some help.
I mean, I'm sure he does have help. I'm sure he does have help, but I'm sure he eats and breathes it, man. I'm sure.
Oh gosh,
it's
crazy, dude.
Okay, so we normally review movies. This isn't a standard show, but I mean, we basically broke down. I don't really have anything else to say. I would say it's definitely worth a watch. I would not go to the theater to see it. I don't think it's worth the money. But when it comes on Disney Plus, or if you have access to it, it's definitely worth a watch. It's light. It doesn't feel super long like some of them do. It is long, but it feels. It
is long though.
It is long, but it feels pretty brisk. But it's very funny. A lot of great action. It's a worthwhile watch.
I would agree.
Reviews.
Rate it?
Oh, you want to go?
Sure,
go ahead.
I'll give it 63 hero poses.
This
63.
Why you do this?
Why you do this? Why you do this? You sit and you whip your head. Why you do this? You're a poser. You're a poser.
You're a poser. I would give it 140.
You think you act like everyone's looking at you. Nobody's looking at you.
It's so true though. All right, you interrupted my review. I appreciate that.
Go.
But I would give 123 puffy vest pockets, because there's pockets for everything. That's the thing. There's pockets for everything.
You don't even know.
You want it, don't you?
You can hold so much stuff in here, you don't even know.
When she tells her, she's like, what is she? When Black Widow's finally like, I like your vest or whatever, she's like, I knew it. So good. All right, that's it.
She gives it to her at the end
does,
too,
at the
right?
End. Yeah. Comes full circle. Okay, guys, that's it. This has been the Black Widow episode of Movie Squad podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. Again, sorry about the delay. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're going to kick off our regular kind of fall schedule with Phil back in the chair with Shang-Chi. So if you want to follow along, go to the theater.
Go watch Shang-Chi. Also, in the meantime, go watch Pale Rider.
Or don't
YouTube video.
Or don't ever. You can watch our YouTube video, but don't ever watch Pale Rider. Don't ever watch Pale Rider. So that's it. So for Donnie and for Phil Spirit here with us, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Do you button first or do you zip first? Now, this is imperative. I don't understand. Sorry. I don't understand. You said button.
Always button.
Always button, right?
Yes, always.
So, background.
Unless you're a psychopath, a serial killer,
exactly,
you would definitely button first, because you're taking the pressure off the zipper. The zipper is not meant to carry all the pressure on its own.
Yeah.
It's simply a securing of what's already, it's like a backup support. Yeah. The button is designed to take the heat.
Yes.
Like it's there for
for like the long haul. So so background, and then let's dive into this just a little bit. It was back to school time. The kids just started to school. We went clothes shopping. So
ooh, sounds fun.
We have a 5-year-old that started kindergarten. So we now have 4 children in school.
Oh boy.
And so the plan was, which went well, we were going to take each kid individually to go shopping, to give them a little, one-on-one time with mom and dad, since they're about to start school, and it was kind of the last hurrah. So we did this whole rigmarole 4 times, Donnie. 4 times shoe shopping, 4 times school supplies, 4 times clothes. It was a nightmare.
It sounds like hell.
It was, it was not great. So, but I take my boys, right?
Yep.
So I take the 7-year-old first. And we go in, so I go into the dressing room with them so we can try.
Let me just stop you real quick and say, yes. I don't like where this is going. But go ahead.
Great.
I'm concerned.
So we go into the dressing room because, they need help trying clothes on. And I'm watching my son put pants on, and he's zipping the pants up and then buttoning.
No.
And I see him do it a couple of times, and I'm like I know something's wrong, but it's not registering, right? I was like, something's wrong. And then it hits me, and I'm like, what's happening? Right, but I didn't say anything. He's 7, he's still learning, I guess. I'm like,
you're quietly questioning your child's sanity. Yeah. You're like, what's wrong with this
I felt
kid?
like I got home and I told my wife, I'm like, should I bring him into the room and let him watch me put my pants on? Like, is that a thing that you're supposed to do as a parent? I don't know what's happening.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, okay, well, he's 7, maybe it's fine. So then I take my 12-year-old the next day to go clothes shopping, and we get pants, we get jeans, we get shorts, we go into the thing.
No.
And here I am watching me zipping the pants up, and then he's buttoning. And I'm like,
what kind of cartoons are they watching?
I feel like I've failed as a parent,
Well, you have, I feel like clearly.
I feel like
I think you have failed miserably.
Some days you get up and you're like, I think I'm doing it, my kids don't hate each other. They don't burn the house down. They don't spit at people when they walk, down the sidewalk. I'm like, I may make it, and then I see them put their pants on like psychopaths. And I'm like, look, what did I do?
Let me ask you a question. You're in a new house now.
New house.
Do you lock your bedroom door at night?
I do now because what else do I can't trust these guys. I had to put up security cameras. I'm like, if they zip their pants first, what else are they going to do? You know what I mean?
Telling.
There's no telling.
That's a rabbit hole.
I may
of terror,
go get some water in the middle of the night, and then one of them may just be stood on top of the refrigerator to pounce on me. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't trust those people. No. I can't trust anybody that would zip their pants first.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. No, I don't understand why you would start there. I feel like you can recover from this, though.
I'm going to try.
I do. I don't think it's hopeless. I think that you need to go get a mannequin and you need to let them practice with pants on there. And look, boys, button, zip, and make them do it, like a regimen, like 10 times, then maybe the next day 20 times.
Yeah.
Until they get it.
It's like muscle
second nature.
Yeah.
Muscle memory.
And they'll put a dog collar on them where if they do it wrong, I zap them.
Ooh, that's even
better.
And
they'll be I'm not supposed to do that.
Yeah, it'll become absolutely instinctual for sure.
I think I got it. Yeah. So a couple of weeks, I think we can break this habit.
But I will say this. You're going to need Christy's full support. You're going to have to both be on the same page on this.
So I'm not going to tell her about this. So...
And God knows she's not going to watch this or listen.
She's never going to see this. So she's going to be like, "Where did you go with this idea?" I'm like, "I have no idea. It wasn't Donnie." So yeah,
it wasn't Donnie. Is that where you leave it? It wasn't Donnie.
It wasn't Donnie. Sure. Don't worry about it.
Why are you buying mannequins? It wasn't Donnie.
It wasn't Donnie. Listen, whatever you're thinking, just know that it wasn't Donnie. Okay.
Of all the people that I know and talk to. It wasn't Donnie.
Of all the things you can be thinking right now, Donnie should not be on your mind. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
So
united front though, man. You got to have a united front on this.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
have you talked to your wife about it? I mean, about not even the boys doing it, but the issue itself.
I gotta be honest with you.
Understand? Are you about to tell me she does it too? Please
no,
don't.
I feel like I can't look her in the eyes. I feel like I failed. You know what I mean? So
here's what would be the most amazing scenario in the world is if you went to her and you said, "Listen, I need to tell you about, I took the boys one day, one the next, and they did this." And she went, "You're kidding. The girls did the same thing." Our whole family is cracked like eggs. Oh my gosh.
What's going to happen is she probably does it too. I'm probably the only one. I'm going to wake up and then there's going to be a knock at the door and it's going to be like a mental, like, "Sir,
have you
your wife called?"
Oh my gosh.
And said, "You need to come."
No. You need to look in your backyard or in your, we don't have basements, but try to find the pods, the body switch pods. 'Cause clearly,
yeah,
they have been body snatched.
Yeah, they do not. Yeah, they do not. They're like, there's a button and a zipper. We should zip it. I don't understand.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah.